sure.
Okay, let's get straight to it. Max Verstappen, masterclass pass. At the start of the race, it looked like he had a bad start, but we have to remember that he was looking to his right and to his left. He saw that George Russell was right on past him and was right on Piastri's ass, and he knew that Norris was on the right, so he kept his lane. It looked like he was going slower than Piastri, but what he did was, with his fantastic braking, he broke early and had a fantastic break, and then passed on the outside. But immediately as he passed on the outside, he had the inside of the other part of the corner, and there was nothing Piastri could do. After that, he left him. You know what I'm talking about, a follow, but you saw
yes, I saw it.
Yeah, because what happened was Piastri was leading him, but he was thinking the first corner goes to the left, then the next one goes to the right. But he had the inside of the right one. So to me, he was measuring himself. The reason he drove a little bit slower is he was gauging the whole track. And if Piastri had made any false move, Russell would have passed Piastri. And also, if Piastri tried to go too far to the right, he would have hit Verstappen because Verstappen got to the second apex. And then game over from there. Game over. And what surprised me, well, not surprising because this is a high-speed track, McLaren's tire advantage was nowhere in this race, partly because of dirty air, but also because for whatever reason, when it's very hot and they're on slow-speed tracks, which require a lot of downforce, they do better. This track doesn't, which require a lot of downforce and traction, they do better. But this track is high speed, doesn't rely a lot of hard braking, doesn't require a lot of traction, and it seems like their advantage is only on slow speed tracks because Verstappen has won in Suzuka. He should have won in Jeddah if not for the fact that Piastri he had to give the start because Piastri outfoxed him at the start, and then he won here. So in all the tracks that are high speed, Verstappen really has as much pace, if not more pace, than McLaren. So this is a very interesting race. What are your thoughts, Falabi?
I quite agree with you. He's been doing very, very well on high speed, basically.
And technical too. Technical, yeah.
And technical, yes, just like he did in Suzuka. If you look at this race, I was a little worried before the race started. I was thinking, how does he fend off Russell and Norris while also chasing down Piastri? But he answered that question in a fantastic way. If you look at the turn one, lap one maneuver he executed, it was his positioning that got the trick out. He positioned the car perfectly just on the outside of Piastri to gain advantage. And then if you look at the gap between the tires, it was infinitesimal, but he was able to maneuver it in such a way that there wasn't an incident. And it's fine margins like this.
Sorry to cut in front of you. The gap between the tires with him and Piastri.
Piastri, right? Yes.
And they're saying that he did that because he trusted Piastri not to understeer because they would have both.
Yes. And it shows his bravery and his boldness at taking such a move and his ability to, measure this with the naked eye. I think it was brilliant. And the moment
that guy he's like a computer. He was looking at Piastri, looking at Russell, looking at Norris, and meanwhile doing a start. This guy is, this morning he was doing race sim for the race at 3 a.m. Wow. This guy is not human. You know what he said? I'll be back. He's like Robo F1 boy, Robo F1 man. And then he has a child. And then last week he drove in Nuremberg and broke the record for GT3 track.
Yeah,
my point.
Sure.
No, this guy's not human. I'm going to go down saying he's the best racer of all time. Better than Schumacher, better than Hamilton, better than Senna. And the only reason he's better is because he only does one thing. Schumacher had family, had kids, used to have friends. Senna, I don't know about Senna. I'll make up something next week. Hamilton
goes to
the party, and Black Lives Matter. Verstappen is a racing machine. What he's doing this year with an inferior car, nobody's ever done this. This is David versus Goliath that you're looking at this year. This will be the first. It's David versus Goliath. What do you think, Kunle? Sorry,
the car isn't as good as it has been, but it's not that inferior because it did.
Yeah, but Kunle, before we go any further,
the clean sweep in 2023.
David versus Goliath. That car is far inferior to the McLaren, not to the rest of the field. The McLaren car is untouchable, and he's beating them. If he was driving their car, he would have won all races this year. Would you disagree?
I think Ferrari could have touched McLaren today.
I'm asking you a question. If Verstappen was driving McLaren, the championship would be over this year. Would you agree?
Yes, I would agree.
Okay, so what I'm saying is David versus Goliath. It's Verstappen versus McLaren engineers.
And there's always going to be a faster car. So everybody.
Not just faster. David versus Goliath. Not just faster. Much faster. what is happening is that Verstappen is such a good driver that he's showing that Norris and Piastri are rubbish drivers. If you gave that car to not Hamilton, if you gave it to what's his name, Leclerc, or to George Russell, they would also
Alonso.
be winning. So it just goes to show you that the McLaren drivers are rubbish. Sorry, continue.
Yeah,
I would
probably
say they're
Alonso.
rubbish, but I understand what you're saying. They're not
You're
as good.
rubbish.
They
You
could
have
be
the best
better.
car. That car is by far better than is by far better.
I'm not. I'm just not going to say that they're rubbish. That's a bit harsh. I mean, these
Okay, let
are
me put
good
like this.
drivers.
Let me put
But
like
I
this.
understand your point.
Okay,
I
I'm not going to
understand
call
the
them
point.
rubbish. I'm not going to call them rubbish, but they are not extraordinary. They're. I'll use a big word. They're quotidian. They're mundane.
I'll
They're
just say
pedestrian.
that Verstappen is a much better driver than them. Has shown to be a much
Okay, but
better driver
is he a
than
much
them.
better driver than Leclerc? Is he a much better driver than Leclerc? No, no. So those boys, let me tell you,
Verstappen.
those guys are
Verstappen.
overrated. If you put those guys on any other team, they'll be losing. They've been giving a fast car, and they've ruined that car. They've ruined that car's reputation. They Between the two of them, they should not drop any races. Sorry, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, funny enough, I actually think Norris is faster than Piastri, but he's just
Oh, he's
more
faster, but
prone to
he doesn't have the
mistakes.
heart. He doesn't have the
Yeah,
heart.
he's just more prone to mistakes because I got the feeling in that race that Norris was the only driver that would have been able to challenge Verstappen at all, but he needed to have a good platform to
Yeah,
do
yeah.
so, which he didn't. Verstappen won that race out of after the second corner. After the second corner, that's pretty much the end of the race. No car was able to threaten him for pace. Nobody was even able to put him under any pressure. He built a lead. There was a yellow flag. Nobody could threaten him again. He built a lead again. And he just finished it. It was like
That
those
guy is
races
scary.
that Schumacher
He's
and
scary.
Hamilton
He
used
was
to have, where they
autopilot
just,
all the way.
yeah, where they just go on autopilot, and it's as eventful for them as traveling from London to Lagos by British Airways
You
or
know what?
whatever.
Verstappen is like Boko Haram. Like they attack a village. They said, "Don't worry, we're coming
So
back again."
but there was a lot of excitement going on behind
Oh yeah, but we don't want to talk
Verstappen.
about that yet because I break the show into sections. So yeah, so we'll get
Okay.
back to that though. What are your thoughts about Verstappen's execution, Mr. Johnny? Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Verstappen, I think he knew what he had to do at the beginning. He knew that I have to take this race. The race will be won and lost at the beginning. So, and Verstappen has experience in pole position fighting. He has a lot more experience than Lando or Piastri. So he knew what he had to do. He just knew that, okay, these guys are fast, but if I can get in front of them, I'll be all right. So he bet everything at the beginning. So that is he probably worked it out in his head with simulations how he was
Yeah,
going to get
the
that.
guys are
And you can see that he was very prepared. He was very prepared for
I think
that
he
fight.
rehearsed that move. He rehearsed
That
that.
kind of thing. Yeah,
yeah.
he
He
knew
rehearsed
what
it.
to
No, no, he rehearsed it. And so this is why I say Verstappen is the GOAT of all time. Not because he has talent. Hamilton has more talent. Verstappen. Let me tell you a story. When Verstappen was 15 years old, his dad left him in the rain at a gas station and said you can walk home. He had to call his mom because he didn't do well. His dad is like a Nazi. His dad will refuse. His dad drilled him, and they said that his mom had to pick him up. So the fact his dad, when he would lose races, his dad would let him stay outside in the rain. So basically, his dad tortured him. So he learned from a young age that he had to become methodical. Every part of his racing is good. Like for example, Hamilton has good speed, but he doesn't sometimes have good tactics. Verstappen has no weaknesses because he practices it over and over. He was up at 3 in the morning doing sim racing. So he's obsessed, but I think he's obsessed because his dad was an F1 driver. His mom was an F1 driver. No, she was a
Wow,
car
it's all
driver.
in the blood, man.
His mom was a professional driver. So in his family, if you lose, don't come home. There'll be no food for you. If
But
Hamilton,
during Schumacher's time when he was driving Ferrari, Williams was a faster car than Ferrari during those days. I remember Williams had a better car, and Schumacher was still outperforming Williams to win titles.
no, 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 no,
So
not
if,
Williams.
well,
No,
I mean, I'm talking about
it
the
was
GOAT
McLaren.
now. I'm
McLaren, not
comparing
Williams.
Verstappen with
It was
Schumacher.
McLaren. It was McLaren, not Williams. It was McLaren.
No, I think Damon Hill was driving the Williams
No,
at the
you're
time. I'm
thinking
talking
about
about
when
the
Verstappen
'90s.
when you were thinking about when he drove for Benetton.
No,
When
not when he
Schumacher
drove for Benetton.
no
When he drove for
when Schumacher drove for Mercedes, it was Mercedes versus McLaren. Williams was not
when he
doing well then, but
when
Williams did
when
well.
he was fighting with Damon Hill. Damon Hill was in the Williams,
Okay,
who
maybe.
was in the Ferrari, and the
Okay,
Williams was a
okay,
better
so yeah,
car.
maybe you have a point.
Way back. I remember those times.
Oh yeah, so we'll give that to Schumacher, but definitely we can't put Hamilton
You know
in
what
there.
I think? You know what
Go
I
ahead,
think?
go ahead.
I think if
We're off track
Piastri,
though. You guys took us off track on the show, but go ahead, go ahead.
I
No,
think
I mean,
if
we can't compare, since we can't really compare Verstappen with the current drivers, the closest
Yeah,
I
but we're
can do
still
is
talking
compare
about
him
the,
with
we
the
can talk about
greatest
that
of all time.
as a side. We can
Because,
talk about that as a side. But I'll let Mr.
uh-huh.
Johnny go ahead. Mr. Johnny, what are you going to say?
I think if Piastri was like as good as a driver as Verstappen, that beginning, both of them should have crashed. I mean, with their determination, they
Oh
could
yeah,
have.
but Piastri didn't do it because Piastri is also smart because if he had crashed, then he would have had 0 points. Verstappen would have had 0 points.
Yeah,
And
then I've taken out my main enemy and add me to Hamilton. So
I like you.
both of us, nothing for us. Then that kind of thing. That's how it has
I
been.
like
As
you,
in,
Nelson.
that kind
But
of craziness, as in you're getting
oh yeah, Schumacher would have rubbished the whole race. He would rubbish the whole
Schumacher would have got, and then Verstappen used to do that a lot before at the beginning,
when he
before
was
he
younger.
became better,
Yeah,
you know.
but now he has
Take
a
care of
child.
his
I will say that Verstappen has matured. He has really matured.
Yeah,
Okay,
now
that
he's
was the
mature.
point you
yeah.
made. So from that point you made, we'll move to the next thing.
All
McLaren
right.
should have done team orders and let Norris go ahead for this race because it was clear Piastri didn't have the pace. And you know what? The big mistake they made was to make Piastri pit after 12 laps. Or I think it was 12 or 16 laps.
I think they said the time was
14,
spoiling
lap
fast.
14.
They said the problem
Yeah,
with the time degradation was severe.
okay, well, if it's degraded, that means his race was over either way. Then that means Norris should have been their focus. And then they almost came close to crashing when Norris passed Piastri. If both of them had crashed, Verstappen would have been like, "Hallelujah!"
Yeah, I remember that.
And here's another problem. McLaren should never have brought Piastri to McLaren, or they should have got rid of Norris because they're going to cancel each other, and Verstappen's going to win the driver's title. What do you think, Afala?
Yeah, and it's playing out. This scenario that you just mentioned has started to play out. They're all going to cancel themselves out to Max's advantage. I mean, pitting on lap 14 was ill-advised by Oscar Piastri, and it evidently cost him because Max just built on his pace, which was, was fantastic throughout it kept on recording fastest laps, so, and it was difficult for them to catch up with it. And then after the safety car incident, in fact, it was obvious that Max Verstappen was going to win this race, and there was no going. In fact, I stopped looking at
and if not for the second safety car, he would have won by 30 seconds, 20 seconds.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, nobody was catching Verstappen. He was just leaving everyone in the dust.
No, that guy is crazy, man. I don't know how I have words for Verstappen. Okay, so let's go to the
clever.
No, very, very clever. Let's go to the next thing very quickly. I want us to give credit, man. Albon was fast as hell. He even could have come third place if he didn't have to give back a position. He could have gotten on the podium instead of who got on the podium for third? Norris. No, Piastri.
Albon and Leclerc had a fight, right? It was Leclerc and Albon.
So I got. Go ahead.
And what I saw with Albon and Leclerc, the fight was that Leclerc was braking later. Remember, Leclerc was braking later than Albon in the corners. Even though Albon had better tires and he could have actually taken out Leclerc, because Leclerc still had
that means Leclerc is a better driver. Yeah.
What is it?
That means Leclerc is a better driver because he can.
He was more aggressive. So Albert, he was fast. He tried to do it, but that Leclerc, he was like, no, I'm going to take this. He was even trying to overtake Hamilton himself, but Hamilton had better tires. So, but
that's a very good point. Okay, so Clay, what were your point? I think you had some points about what was going on at the back. What observations do you have from the race?
Williams sort of did well, but then they sort of petered out when they got to the race. Mercedes struggled. They looked good at the beginning. And also another thing that Hamilton is very strong at, which as soon as I realized this would be about, I sensed Hamilton was going to do well when I learned that tire management was going to be a big part of this race and tire degradation. He's always been good at tire management.
Yeah.
And that was I think that was probably the best thing that he was able to do in order to get as far as he can, because he did a very long stint on the hard tires. I'll give it to Hamilton. He did very well this race. Leclerc sort of did what he would be expected to do.
Yeah, Leclerc had some bad luck. And also safety cars helped both of them. But go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. And the Williamses, my people,
Oh yeah,
outdid themselves in this race, because when I looked at the starting grid, I looked at a lot of cars that I don't understand how they were in the top 10, and some faster cars were not. And as the race developed, it turned out that yes, they really were false gods in their positions, because when you now put the race and the strategies in place, these cars fell by the wayside. It was a bad showing for that ass. They got yeah. There was no finishing. None of their cars, none of the Haas cars finished. So I mean, if you're talking about Haas, it's that ass better forget about what happened in Italy and just move on from there.
yeah.
I enjoyed.
Ferrari's race pace has improved, but their problem is in qualifying because
Yes.
they can't do performance. That car still has problems. They're just managing it now, but they're good in race pace. But also they tend to do better on, also it seems like they're doing pretty good on high speed tracks, which don't require a lot of downforce. Because to get a lot of downforce, you have to bring the floor lower. They can't bring the floor lower because of that plank issue and other things. What do you think, Afalabi? Then we'll go back to Kule.
Yeah, I think I'm very, very impressed with the Williams, although I'm not so surprised with Albon. Albon has been pretty consistent, barring one race where he crashed, I guess. He's been he's been in among the points. But once again, Williams, Carlos Sainz finished eighth. So it was a good day for the Williams cars. And then for Ferrari too, I was happy that at least Albon was able to split them into two. In fact, there was a particular incident that occurred that both of them were trying to pass Albon, and he gave it a good go. That guy really impressed me today, but I was a little disappointed with George Russell. I don't know what happened. He was very inconsistent.
No, yeah, I don't know. I have to look at the race again. Go ahead, Mr. Johnny. Maybe Johnny they have better memory. They watch the races better than I do. Go ahead, yeah. Go ahead.
What is it?
I said you guys are very vigilant when it comes to watching the races because I miss all that shit. I'm just looking at Verstappen.
Yeah,
what happened, Johnny?
Russell, was just unfortunate with his when the pit stop. I think with the safety car, there was a virtual safety car and he was too far ahead, and so but Hamilton was right there. He was able to just make it. Antonelli, both of them were able to just make a very good pit stop. After during the safety car. So that's why boom, and then twice, Russell got with the both safety car situations. Russell got a bad. So he just lost out on that. And then what happened to Antonelli?
The Mercedes, it's all Russell.
Antonelli had a mechanical problem. Something with the car failed. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The Mercedes, it's all Russell, the Aston Martins, and the Williams. I don't know why they were so fast in qualifying, but they just
let me tell you why. Okay, there's a problem with this track. Medium tires are doing better in qualifying than the soft tires. So Aston Martin used their medium tires to qualify. So by doing that, they didn't have them for the race. So they sacrificed their race pace to get good qualifying. It's weird because that C6 is too soft, and in qualifying it burns out early unless you're a McLaren who has good tire preservation. So what Aston Martin did was they used the harder tires for qualifying, and it actually worked because those tires are still soft. They're actually very soft. The hard tires are actually what the soft tires should be, and the soft tires are too soft. So they had the perfect tire for qualifying, but by using up those tires, they lost options in the final race. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's why. But we shouldn't worry about Aston Martin. Next year is there. Yeah, next year is it's our time to shine.
They had upgrades.
Aston Martin are going to become like Arsenal or on Netflix. They're always looking for the next season.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Mr. Johnny? Then we're gonna.
They had upgrades this for Imola. That's why they were quite pacey actually. Aston Martin, they were actually quite pacey. They upgraded some stuff, but not too good. But so I think they might start showing their faces a little more often.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what are your thoughts, Afar, before the race? Then we're gonna do a quick talk about Antonelli after that, and end the show. What are your thoughts about what we were just talking about now?
Yeah, so basically, I think Aston Martin tried. Unfortunately, I don't think they got in among the points. Fernando Alonso finished 11th, Lance Stroll 15th. But there was a marked improvement this race weekend. Although, like you said, Mustafa, they are focused basically on the design of 2026. Adrian Newey is driving that. So they're not putting so much in it this season, but this was a better race for them compared to the last 6, and I think they did reasonably well.
Yeah, well, thank you. All right, so yeah, I'm taking time to do two videos, so I don't have to pay people for extra shows. Okay, so the title of this show is "What's Wrong with Antonelli." Every week we're gonna have "What's Wrong with Somebody" so they can catch. So what's wrong with Antonelli? Okay, so Antonelli does well on slow speed tracks. He did very well in Miami, a lot better than Russell, even though he may have finished less than Russell. So my theory is that Antonelli is good at traction and hairpins and stuff. Those slow speed corners where you have to stop, change direction, accelerate again, and everything. But he's still too young to do well on these types of high speed tracks, like and racers tracks like Imola, also Suzuka. Those are people you have to be in F1 for 5 or 6 years because in those ones you have to learn specifically how to be patient and how to drive. Those high speed corners are not very easy to drive. So he just hasn't developed that skill set yet. That's going to take years for him. But right now on the slower tracks, he's showing his ability to brake, accelerate, and start again. He has very good skill. But when you get to high speed tracks and technical tracks, it takes years to learn. We have to remember Max Verstappen has been racing since he was 17 in F1. He's 28 now, 10 years. So he knows these tracks inside out. So we can't expect Antonelli to do well on these high speed technical tracks yet because he doesn't have the experience yet. What are your thoughts, Mr. Johnny?
Yeah, man, he said it that because Antonelli, he still needs to grow some hair on his chest,
Yeah.
So he needs more experience, more. I'm sure we'll be seeing a different. I mean, we'll see a really aggressive, different.
Oh yeah, within 3 years he'll be one of the best in the world.
But this year he's just going to he's just going to just be there. Just it was unfortunate that his car lost power. I'm sure he would have still because he would have been up there with Hamilton.
He might have come 5th or 6th.
Yeah, because he had the right his pit stop was okay and stopped at the right time with the safety car, so he would have been up there, but just a pity.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on Antonelli? I'm cool. Thank you, Johnny.
Antonelli was unlucky today. It wasn't really because he was a bad driver. It didn't finish today. It was obviously because.
Oh no, he's not bad. Although very quickly he does struggle on high speed tracks, but yeah, he wasn't bad.
Yeah. I also did notice that for the first time, Hamilton was able to get past him. I don't think, as said earlier, Hamilton had never ever been able to get past Antonelli up until today, and it took him a while to get past him.
It's like when the guy cut you in line for Suya. He said, "I'm older than you now." So I would have said, "I'm older than you. Let me pass."
I'm older than you. Come on, wait your turn now.
Respect your elders.
That actually happened, Mr. Johnny. You guys, I feel like at QSS Suya, somebody cut in front of Kunle to buy Suya, and Kunle said, "How can you pass me?" And the guy said, "I'm older than you."
And they move though. They're not in the same spot. I have to find where they are. Anyway, we digress. So Antonelli's been unlucky. I think he has potential. I think that car showed some frailties against a Ferrari for the first time today. For the first time, I saw the Mercedes in general.
They're getting there.
Yeah, it looked vulnerable. It just looked vulnerable to the Ferrari. I don't know what Red Bull is doing with that, but Verstappen has just left the McLarens behind.
And the car is getting better.
Red Bull's and then Hamilton almost, if not for that yellow flag that was, I think, far too long for what happened. It wasn't like Antonelli crashed, and we saw them recover the vehicle, and they were still doing laps, 3 or 4 laps after they recovered the vehicle, and I don't know what was that about.
No, they're trying to save the race to let Verstappen win. Because they were worried that maybe McLaren could pass Verstappen, but there was no way. Man, Verstappen, there was no way he was going to lose today. No way.
Well, Hamilton could have certainly passed Piastri.
Oh yeah, give Hamilton more time. Maybe they kept it longer for McLaren, and also Albon would have passed Piastri. If they had given him more time. So this is
Piastri was a sitting duck.
I'm going to keep it real with you. F1 is fucked up. It's fucked up, and I actually believe that. McLaren is cheating with their tires, but everyone said we checked the tires, we didn't see anything. No. Story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Piastri was a sitting duck, and that yellow flag was just too suspicious.
It was suspicious. 12 laps.
It was too suspicious. I've never seen that. And also the crash.
And the first one, the first one was just a safe yellow flag, but then they made this one a full stop. Yeah, they made this one a full safety. No, they were manipulating this thing, and they were
Because
also
there were several laps after the vehicle had come off the
Yeah.
track with the car,
and it
they were
also hurt
still
Verstappen.
lapping.
It also gave McLaren a chance because Verstappen's lead over them was 20 seconds. Then it went down to 2 seconds. It went down to 0 seconds
They
with the
were
full.
trying to, there was some
They were
kind of
trying to help McLaren.
manipulation there.
They're trying to help McLaren. I'm telling you, they're trying to help
Yeah.
McLaren because they said that the Red Bull pit they had to take off their audio because they were swearing. How do you
Wow.
do that? How do you make it go from safety, yellow? I mean, virtual safety to a full safety? They tried their best. They did that for McLaren. And then, did you see during the race, whenever Lando Norris had passed people, passed by Norris, that was excellent. Norris was so beautiful. You get my point. No, these guys are. It's clear that there's bias. What are your thoughts, Afalabi? Then we'll head out for Sunday.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I feel Antonelli, like you rightly mentioned, his inexperience affected him in this particular race. I mean, he
Yeah.
lost the throttle control, which was a mechanical issue. And from there, he was clueless. I think a more experienced driver would have handled the situation better. Also, I don't think he reached Q3 in qualifying. So his qualifying too had, shortcomings. And then tire management, and then the pressure of a home race. Some of his classmates were around on Thursday to hang
Wow.
around with him. So
Oh, yeah, they came to watch him, his friends.
yeah,
Oh
so
boy,
his friends.
don't become like Norris. So don't you better pick
So it was
become like
under
Verstappen.
If
a
I
bit
drive
of
my friends
pressure.
to nightclub, they can watch me drive my race.
Yeah.
And another thing, why are you still in school?
Designated driver for the night.
You have 100 million in your bank. Why are you still doing the school?
Yeah.
Daddy, I have degree. I have degree. I have
But,
smart.
That they want to come first.
but so far so good. I think for his age, he's kicking above his level, really. And
Okay, but
if you
very
look at
quickly,
it, if you look
go
at it,
ahead.
Mercedes has been consistently behind Red Bull and McLaren. So it's just the fact that Ferrari did better than they did this time around that is making us say all these things. So they need to like push Red Bull and McLaren. And I think presently the Mercedes doesn't have the package to do that. They're still a yard behind Red Bull and McLaren, but they
Quickly,
shouldn't be allowing Ferrari, to
no,
outpace them.
yeah, it's gonna be crazy between it's clear that Red Bull is number two team. No, but that's clear. They're the number two. No, the number two fastest car. But it's going to be interesting to see Ferrari, Williams, and Mercedes fight. That's the story of the year. That's going to be beautiful. But very quickly, let's give credit to Haja. I think Haja has more raw pace than Antonelli, but he's not as disciplined as Antonelli. He can either go into the wall or he's been doing well in qualifiers and everything. What are your thoughts on Haja, Falabi? Then we'll head
Yeah,
out.
he did. I was really impressed with him. And if I compare, he's done really well. I'm even surprised that he finished just ahead of Yuki Tsunoda in ninth position. Tsunoda
Yeah.
too was a surprise for me because if you look at that crash,
Oh, yeah.
in fact, it had Ayrton Senna written all over it.
Oh, that guy could have died, though.
If you see the way his car spun over the curb, I was scared.
That's where that halo
on the car
comes in very handy now.
Yes.
That halo came in handy.
It was really lucky. It was really lucky. And he managed to finish 10th. Haja did well too as well. I think it was a good one for
He
him.
could have been decapitated if not for that halo.
And you know what was funny? They don't really know why he crashed. I'll get to the theory why he did, but they don't know. It's like that track is cursed, like there are ghosts on that track. Because many people have crashed like that.
Yeah. Because if you see the way he left the track and just spun off, in fact, it looked very, 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 very shocking.
It was weird but from what they said, he took too much of the chicane. But he drove okay, but he took too much of the chicane. But when he hopped on the chicane, when he landed, it must have landed a little bit unbalanced and caused the car to go off and flip. It wasn't 100% his fault. But also, Colapinto needs to be worried, though. Already crashed, He'll be out. Colapinto will be out. He crashed in qualifying. Okay, so we're done. We're going to just go around the block one more time. What are your last thoughts, Mr. Johnny? Then we'll go to Kunle. Yeah.
That race was, of course, exactly what I wanted. Excitement, overtakings, and also seeing Hamilton up there. And so I really enjoyed the race. So looking forward to next.
Monaco is going to be crazy. Whoever wins qualifying in Monaco is going to win the race. I can't wait to see that qualifying. I don't know who's going to win because that track, Monaco is a slow track, but it's technical. That's going to be crazy. But what are your thoughts, Kunle? Yeah.
Yeah, my only issue with Monaco is that there's virtually no overtaking on that track. It's all about the
But
champagne and
that's why
looking
you have to
sexy.
watch the qualifying. The qualifying is actually the race. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, but generally, because of the way the Monaco track is, they need to make that track more exciting. For me, they need to create overtaking opportunities on that track. I don't know how they're going to do it.
Kule,
They've
can
got
I
to
say
make that
something?
track.
Kule, can I say something?
Yeah.
Monaco track is a Gungu festival. It's like disrespecting your elders. You just have to take it like that. What's that thing? Where's that place where people go into the forest or Shogbo or whatever? You
Yeah.
can't change it. It's just tradition.
Sambisa Forest.
Yeah, you just have to keep it because it's like the elders will be angry. Because that's the last
Yeah.
connection to the old days. You get my point?
Yeah, it's the only European track I don't really like. Well, the only Western European track I don't really like because of this lack of overtaking. And it's only fun because it's Monaco and it's about, it's where you talk about it's like Wimbledon for tennis, Monaco for Formula One. So I do wish that they would do something to make it more exciting and overtaking.
We should do a live show for Monaco qualifying. We should do a live show on YouTube for Monaco qualifying.
Yes, I
That's the
mean,
race.
yeah.
That's the race.
Yes.
Nice
I mean, the
one.
most exciting part about the race is looking at all the yachts and boats when they're showing it from the sky view.
And
And
all the rich people doing cocaine,
all the rich
in
people
a yacht with Sola.
and
Yeah.
all our Nigerian politicians are showing us how they stole our oil money,
What they use your money to buy is what they stole
girlfriends, and
from.
their
Hey,
cocaine or whatever.
Kule and Mr. Johnny, do you remember when Raikkonen crashed and he walked off the track and went to his yacht and started drinking with his friends in Monaco? He crashed. He didn't even go back to the race control. He walked
No,
off the
when
track
they sat down there and then they were no.
and drink. I like that. That's what we're gonna do. We got to do a live show where all of us drink whiskey.
That's when you know somebody's that's when you know somebody's living the life.
And also Molly.
All
right. Okay, guys, take us out. You know what? Thank God we're not one of these big F1 channels because they would have banned us. Okay, go ahead, Abalami, take us out.
Yeah, basically, I'm gonna miss Imola. They've not renewed their contract with F1, so we're not. We're not going to be seeing them for a while. And this is one track Max Verstappen has been very successful here. I think it's his fourth in a row. Yeah. So it's been a wonderful F1 show. We've been doing a post show of the Imola 2025 F1 Grand Prix. And from Mr. Johnny, Mustafa, and Kule, have a wonderful Sunday evening.
Okay, I'll cut this one out, but I'm going to send everything to everyone so you can enjoy your Sunday. Buy some whiskey and beer.
Thanks, bro. The last one you gave me. I used it for
sure. Nice one.
Use it for Go Circle.
Yeah.
I use it for Viagra.
Me, I'll use it for Jedi. I'll buy Jedi.
Bye-bye.